his names and attributes. Ladies and gentlemen, among the greatest gifts ever granted to the human intellect is not the accumulation of scattered facts, but the grasp of foundations. For it is foundations that give knowledge its stability, its coherence, and its power to guide. Just as a building collapses without firm ground beneath it, and a tree withers without roots, so too does faith weaken when it is not built upon sound principles. The scholars of Islam understood this profoundly. They taught that principles are not decorative ideas, they are the very framework through which truth is distinguished from error, clarity from confusion, and guidance from deviation. Through principles, knowledge becomes disciplined. Through principles, judgment becomes just. And through principles, the believer walks a straight path, confident, grounded, and protected from contradiction. At the heart of these principles lies one of the most noble sciences of all, knowing Allah through His names and attributes, according to the methodology of al-Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Why this knowledge matters. To know Allah correctly is not a luxury of scholars, it is a necessity of faith. Every act of worship, every supplication, every hope and fear is shaped by how one understands the Lord being worshipped. Without principles, people fall into extremes. Some strip Allah of His attributes in the name of transcendence. Others liken Him to creation in the name of affirmation. Some invent names and descriptions never revealed. Others deny what Allah affirmed for Himself. All of this results not from sincerity alone, but from sincerity without guidance. Thus, the scholars emphasize that correct belief is not formed by emotion, speculation, or analogy, but by revelation, understood through disciplined principles. The names of Allah, absolute beauty and perfect meaning. The names of Allah are described in the Quran as Al-Husn, the most beautiful. This is not poetic language, it is a theological declaration. Every divine name reaches the peak of perfection. None contains deficiency. None implies limitation. None admits weakness, neither in reality nor even in possibility. When Allah is described as all-knowing, His knowledge is not preceded by ignorance, nor followed by forgetfulness. When He is described as ever-living, His life is not threatened by death or fatigue. When He is described as all-hearing, no whisper escapes Him, no silence conceals itself from His awareness. Each name is perfect on its own. Yet when combined, the names unveil a greater, more comprehensive perfection, knowledge paired with wisdom, power with mercy, justice with grace. And these names are not discovered by human reasoning. They are received, not invented. Allah is not named except by what He named Himself in the Quran and through His messenger. Any addition or denial is not creativity, it is deviation. Names and attributes, precision without distortion. A defining principle of orthodox belief is balance. The names of Allah affirm His essence and describe His attributes. Some names imply actions that affect creation, and thus include their effects. Other names affirm attributes that belong solely to His perfection. Yet in all cases, affirmation is without distortion, denial, resemblance, or speculation about how. The believer affirms what Allah affirmed, negates what Allah negated, and remains silent where revelation is silent. Why? Because the human mind cannot encompass the reality of the divine essence. To define how Allah's attributes are is to claim knowledge that Allah Himself did not grant. The believer therefore stands in humility, not confusion, certainty without arrogance. Attributes of perfection, not deficiency. Every attribute affirmed for Allah is an attribute of absolute perfection. Conversely, every attribute negated from Him is negated to affirm the perfection of its opposite. Allah does not die, because His life is perfect. Allah does not forget, because His knowledge is complete. Allah does not oppress, because His justice is flawless. Negation in itself is not praise. Praise lies in what the negation establishes: completeness, sovereignty, and majesty beyond all imperfection. Some descriptions appear in the Quran only within specific contexts, such as plotting or deception, where they reflect justice and power in response to wrongdoing. They are never affirmed absolutely, because absolute affirmation would imply deficiency. Revelation teaches precision, not excess. A path guarded from extremes. The methodology of al-Sunnah stands between two destructive extremes. Those who liken Allah to His creation until they worship an image. Those who strip Him of His attributes until they worship an abstraction. The people of the Sunnah affirmed the names and attributes as they came, while declaring Allah utterly unlike His creation. Their affirmation was free from resemblance, and their transcendence free from denial. This balance is not philosophical, it is revelational. It preserves awe, humility, and true worship. Why these principles transform faith? When these principles are understood, worship gains depth, not ritualism. Supplication gains meaning, not repetition. Faith gains certainty, not confusion. The heart gains reverence, not speculation. A believer who knows Allah correctly does not panic in hardship, because he knows the All-Wise governs events. He does not despair in sin, because he knows the All-Merciful forgives. He does not feel abandoned, because he knows the All-Hearing is near. Correct belief shapes correct living. A final call. Repetition. This knowledge is not meant to remain confined to books or lectures. It is meant to anchor the heart, discipline the mind, and refine worship. Affirm what Allah affirmed. Negate what Allah negated. Stop where revelation stops. And walk forward with humility, certainty, and reverence. For the most dangerous form of ignorance is not the absence of information, but confidence without guidance. And the greatest honor granted to a servant is to know his Lord as he chose to be known. May Allah grant us sound understanding, firm belief, and hearts that recognize His perfection as He deserves.